Welcome to the recap of Elite Agents, the event that we had last week in Austin. One of the hits of the show, in fact, everyone on the feedback said they love Will Draper. So we had to come back and talk to Will Draper about AI. Ian, what did you love about his talk?
I personally loved everything about his talk, but I think what's really important is that Will was able to communicate how AI is accessible to most agents. They just have to know some basics, and that's what he covered in his talk. And again, everybody was just thrilled to see it, but now they've got to put in the work. So I'm glad we're doing this recap for them.
Yes, and at the end, I think we got I think we have a QR code if you want to reach out to Will and look into his course. He definitely has an option to kind of get in and learn from him as well. And Will and I may have an announcement later, so stay tuned for that. Yet, here we go. Will Draper, welcome to the recap.
What's happening? Thank you so much, Jeremy and Ian. It was a pleasure and an honor to come out to Austin last week. Everything was great, except it was way too hot for my blood. But other than that, the event was fire, and so was the outside temperature.
Yes. Well, look, man, you had everybody on the edge of their seats. So I want to go through some of your slides, but what do you think people should have taken away or should have known about? What do you think the major takeaways for the event and your talk were?
So I think we all realize that the world is changing very, very quickly. And, AI is not a new thing. It's been around for years. And we used to just call it automation, right? And now AI is like a new buzzword, but this new language model that OpenAI has created, the most well-known one is ChatGPT. And funny enough, I was doing some research earlier today because if anybody follows me on Instagram, they know I've been doing a deep dive on AI and how it can affect real estate. And Meta just announced that they plan to launch a new model that is even more powerful than GPT-4 early next year, and Google is doing the same. So the AI wars are starting, and the big takeaway is everybody's going to be able to use this on a day-to-day basis in their business. All of the major players in the industry that are already creating software, Curator, Ylopo, all these marketing companies, they're already integrating and releasing components of AI. So it's going to become an everyday component of our businesses. Even Minecraft, yes, the game Minecraft just generated and released a AI generator for its game platform. So it's going to infiltrate everything that we're doing, and we might as well learn to accept that and embrace it, because in my presentation I said AI is not going to replace us as real estate agents, but people who learn to use it may actually replace us because they're going to learn to be more productive and get in front of more potential clients.
Even us at our brokerage at Real Broker, they have introduced AI tools. But like you said, it's been around for a while. But one thing you mentioned, you said it is something that a lot of people have heard about, but I don't think it's something that a lot of people have had access to use up until fairly recently. And I think that's the big wow moment.
It's accessible to anybody. Anybody can have it on their phone. And I'm a firm believer in, 18 months that everybody's going to have a personal AI chat assistant on their phone that's like an Alexa or like a Siri, just way more powerful. And what's so neat about it is that it's a language model, right? It learns as you talk with it and iterate with it. And so what I wanted to do, at y'all's amazing event was just say, hey, it's accessible to everyone. And here's ways you can leverage it in your business. And I don't want to pitch a bunch of theory. I want people to have practical applications. Like I want you to have quick, easy wins in our business, because as real estate agents, we're busy. We're always serving clients. We're always on the phone. We're always on the go. So what are some quick, easy wins? None of this theory crap, but just like, where can we actually make an application in our day-to-day lives to make our jobs easier?
And I love how you titled that cheat codes. I just put that up. So, Ian, what do you think the first cheat code is?
Oh, well, I have access to the slides, so I'm going to cheat a little bit.
Okay.
Well, the thing about this particular cheat code, I really like it because I think people hear the term GPT or Chat GPT and they don't know anything else. So this first cheat code is really going to kind of take that to the next level and really empower. If you only know GPT, this will open up the floodgates to just GPT, and he's only getting started.
So let's talk about web chat GPT. What do you got?
Okay, so web chat GPT, like Ian said, everybody's heard of GPT. Well, one of the biggest problems with it is that it didn't get fed any more additional information after 2001. Now, OpenAI is currently working to release a model that's going to have more relevant information. But if you're trying to do trends analysis, right? If you're trying to access books or information or current events that can affect what your outcome is going to be, it's just not accessible. Well, this plugin, and when I structured these cheat codes, I wanted to give plugins that people could use. I want to give stuff for content creators, and I wanted to give stuff that is like Chat GPT Pro level prompting and specifics about the platform. So, Web Chat GPT, it allows you to crawl the internet. So, one of the biggest misconceptions with Chat GPT is, oh, I can feed it a URL and it can examine it and it can make me sound like this famous person or that famous person. That's actually not true. If you ask it to crawl a URL, it's going to say, I don't know how to do that. This plugin, that's a free Chrome extension, allows you to access the internet. And you can tell it how many websites you want it to access. It's just a little toggle button like you see there on the screen now. You can just toggle it on. And I wanted to give an example, say, what's the Austin housing real estate market like? I did this the day before the conference and it ran through and it pulls all of these data from all these sources, it references it. So you have to actually have real-time access to information. Now there's a multiplicity of ways you could use this, right? But it gets rid of that problem you're facing when you don't have that relevant data. And it's just a super easy addition that I think everybody should know about.
I didn't even know it was on there, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's good because a lot of people know that Chat GPT exists, but they may or may not know that, there's a cutoff period for the data access, right? So if there's an article that came out in the last year, it's not going to show up in the standard Chat GPT platform, OpenAI
Yeah.
platform.
Yeah, and this just gets rid of that hindrance, right? And it just makes it even that much more powerful. So you have relevant information, and it's entirely specific to like real estate markets. Like if you're trying to study other markets, you're trying to come up with content for YouTube or social media, Instagram and Facebook. Like it allows you to have real time access to articles, right? And it can scan these URLs. And when you're doing research phase stuff, so when you guys are doing research phase for some of your YouTube videos, imagine if you go to a URL and say, "Hey, summarize this URL." Now it can do that for you. Wouldn't that make things a whole lot easier than having to read the whole article?
Well,
That's only the first cheat code.
well, what's interesting is, so what I've done in the past is gone to Chat GPT. I will copy the entire article and then paste it in there and say, give me like the 5 most important bullet points, be very specific, whatever. And it'll give it to me that way. So what you're saying with the plugin, will it do the same thing, or do I still got to copy and paste it
You
in
don't
there?
have to copy and paste it. You just feed it the URL.
Oh, okay. So you put the URL in, perfect. And then I can say, give me the most important parts from this.
Right.
Okay.
Or you can just do a general search and it can scan the web for you. You can say, hey, go to Edge, go to Chrome. I want 6 results. I want 3 websites. And it footnotes everything too. So it's actually citing sources as you go through it. It's pretty cool.
Awesome. So what's the next? So ChatGPT, we could probably spend all day, but then we wouldn't get to any of. There was at the end of this, you were going speed round, and there's some really, really good ones. So what's the next one that you would really recommend?
Um, let's see. You know what? I think number 3. Let's jump to number 3 real quick. I think this is one a lot of people are gonna like. Um, if you are into social media, if you're on community Facebook groups, all the time people are posting, you're like, hey, looking for a realtor, and then there's like a million comments, right? Or somebody's like, hey, I'm looking to buy a house in this neighborhood. Does anybody have anything for sale? Right? You can take this Chrome extension and you can type in keywords. Your keywords could be realtor, your keywords could be Austin, your keywords could be buying a home in Austin or certain neighborhoods. And when a person types that into that Facebook group, you get notified immediately, and ChatGPT can integrate and start responding to these comments so you can be first in line. So it's one of those things you can set up. It's an automation in the background that can just get you a few extra leads.
So
So
how many leads? I'm gonna say how many leads. So it'll access to Facebook and all of them. And so basically, what are you putting in there? Just
your
any.
keywords, right? So
Okay.
if you're like, yeah, you've been on a community thing, it's like, hey, I'm looking for the best realtor in Austin. You can type in the keywords realtor and Austin. And if that comes up in somebody's post,
Got
it
it.
will do an auto responder for you. It's kind of like, have you guys heard of mini chat
Oh yeah.
for Instagram and Facebook, right?
Yep.
It's like mini chat, but it scrolls Facebook groups, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Reddit. So anytime these keywords pop up, it'll automatically notify and start that interaction. Pretty damn
I'm
cool.
gonna do that for people I'm trolling. So I can just troll. Like anytime it pops up, Will Draper, I'm just gonna go in there and straight troll.
Oh, that's
I,
so
I, li-
funny.
I like this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So there's another one that you had shared with people on stage, and a lot of people have heard of different audio AI apps and plugins, and 11 Labs comes to mind a lot. However, one that doesn't that you had mentioned was the Adobe Enhance. And when I heard you play the clip, I was like, even I, who's kind of a follower of some of these AI apps, I got really excited because I think once people heard it, everyone
So
realized the
this is
power
what
of this.
Adobe Enhance is going to do for your
Can you hear that?
audio. So as you
Yeah.
can tell right now, I do not have a microphone hooked up to my phone, and it is directly out of the phone microphone. Now let's do this again.
Okay, let's see the next one. Oh, I didn't do it.
Yeah, it plays all the way.
This is what Adobe
okay.
Enhance is going to do for your audio.
Yeah,
And now, this is what Adobe Enhance is going to do for your audio. So
So
imagine if you were
sounds better
on
on
the
here. It's
road shooting
deeper,
video in the neighborhood,
richer.
in a house, out with clients, whatever you're doing, and
you get
So
that full podcast sound. It doesn't come across on the internet as well. Like I got it saved on my phone and it's insane. I'll be honest, all of my content I put out now, I run through Adobe Enhance and I don't use a microphone anymore.
That's so
So
crazy.
what's crazy is my editor. We put out this video, and it was an okay video. Like it was about a neighborhood. He didn't do the best job with it, and for whatever reason, on the camera, the audio didn't plug all the way in on the camera, and so the whole thing was coming from the audio from the camera itself, not
Yeah.
from the mic, and it was awful. So we're gonna rerun that through here, but there are several videos we've done recently where he'll run it through, and I swear to God, it sounds like it's coming from a podcast. Like the audio is so much better. So this is by far one of the best, and I have to give credit to somebody who for giving me this one. It was a guy named Will Draper told me about this one. So yeah,
Yeah, it's funny. Like we spend all this money on like I've got thousands of dollars worth of microphones. Like I got a $500 microphone hooked up right now. But anytime I'm doing content, like if I'm on the go with my phone, right? I'll still take like a Shure MV88, like the little plug-in that goes to your iPhone. I'll use that because if I use that and then I run it through Adobe Audio Enhance, it sounds like I am plugged into a podcast. Yeah, that little guy right there. It sounds like I'm still hooked up to a podcast studio. It just takes it to a whole nother level. And people judge a book by its cover, whether it's the video quality content or the audio, because all of us know as video content creators, audio is key to client retention and watcher retention. Because if it sounds like shit, you don't want to stick around and listen to it.
nope. Well,
I think I just cussed. So
you're
you
good.
might want to bleep me out. I'm good. Which I will say, the conference was amazing. I've never heard so many F-bombs from a group of speakers, and I thought it
Yeah.
was hilarious and amazing.
Hey, we kept it real at real here. So
It was
That's right,
real.
man.
yeah. Well, all right. So look, audio is really important, but when viewers are looking at the content, when you're putting out maybe clips, things like that, long form video, what really keeps people engaged now, right? Because everything's on a 10-second loop, right? If you don't
Yep.
catch somebody by the first like millisecond, they're going to swipe right next through your content, and maybe you're not reaching the people. One thing that I think was really important is the next slide, and that's when it comes to captions. So why don't you talk about captions app?
Okay, so the Captions app, it's actually been around for a while. So if anybody was on, social media a couple years ago, like when Instagram first released the native captions inside, like that was like, oh my God, that's awesome. And then not long after that, Captions app came out, and they were, specifically just captions, and they look nice. But what they've released in the past 6 months is kind of amazing. They have a ton of AI tools in there. So I know a lot of folks can't kind of freeform speak when they get on camera and they like to follow a script or a teleprompter. The problem is you're not looking at the camera and you can tell, and it hurts the quality of the video. Well, part of what Captions does, not only does it auto transcribe and auto change colors and auto rotate, they even have movement text now. They'll do auto emojis. They will scan your text, and if they have a video piece of B-roll that they want to pop up on the screen, they'll do that. They can autocorrect your eyes and how it looks. They can add intros. They can actually do auto jump cuts now. Auto jump cuts. So if the people out there, if you guys don't know what jump cuts are, it's where the camera zooms in and out really quickly, right? It's what's keeping the attention. And when you're on social platforms, you've got to have constant movement on the screen, no more than 3 seconds without some sort of movement, or you're just going to lose that visitor because we're in a 3 second society. And uh, it does that auto zooming in and out, which is fantastic. It'll do auto trimming. It'll get rid of the ahs and the ums. So if you're not good at delivering the video and the words, don't worry about it. This thing will censor it. And I just tested this the other day. So it does get rid of some background noise, but the music. Okay. My video that I released yesterday, it was music directly out of the Captions app. And it scanned my voice and it scanned my level of excitement. I picked the genre of music I wanted, and then it auto applied it to the video and matched it. It is copyright free. Instagram's never going to take me down because they have like a copyright issue and my audio goes away. And it automatically does it. And guess what? It even does sound effects. If you see a lot of my videos, I have a lot of jump cuts, a lot of movement, and you hear the pops and you hear the whooshes and stuff like that. I do some myself, but I then let Captions take over, and it just finishes everything off. Because when you create a video, when I watch one of the videos I create, I'm like, this is really boring. But when
Yeah.
you layer in background music and then you layer in those sound effects and jump cuts and captions and emojis and images, and this does it all for you, that takes so much effort out of people's like wheelhouse, and it's going to make creating content so much more accessible for people. And I think it's a great game changer. I really do.
Wow, I'm playing on the app right now. Denoise,
Yep.
emojis, voice, music. I'm gonna have to figure out how to do the zoom in and out, but censor, I like that one.
Yeah, it'll
Uh,
auto. So it would have censored me
eye
about 2 minutes ago.
contact, trim, yeah, images, intro. Oh man,
You know, you know
all
what's
I had
so
to do
great
was
about
swipe
this?
right. It was like Tinder. Yeah, swipe right.
Isn't it left for no? I'm just,
Oh, I don't know.
I have no idea.
so
I'm not even on
so
there.
what makes this so cool is that there are all these video editing apps, and you never know which one to download. So if you go in the app store, you're like, oh, I got this, I got that, but
Yeah.
a lot of them don't separate. They don't give value, any additional value over your regular camera on your iPhone or your Android. So this is very, very, very cool. The next one that I think is something that will take that and make it even more powerful is Munch, and Munch does the clips that you would refer to. So people that create long form content, YouTube videos, they can use Munch to break it down into smaller clips. So why don't you go into that for us?
Yeah, so Munch and Opus, which are like the next like two sections in here, they kind of do the same thing. They're slightly different platforms, but you can feed it long form video. You can do video podcast, which is essentially what this is, right? And you can have it go in and analyze and create more what they call viral short form content. It's basically just allowing you to increase your content creation game. So if you don't want to create specific short form content and you're focused on YouTube, you put a 10-minute video in there, you can get 10, 20 different short clips that you can use for your social and then drive people back to your YouTube over time. And it really saves a lot of time. And I like, so yeah, here's the editing panel in Munch. And I fed it a 6-minute video. It gave me 10 different clips. I think 4 to 5 I really, really, really liked. And there's so many different editing applications to it where you can do the captions like the Captions app. Like they have really upgraded their tools in here so you can make a lot of modifications and make it super custom. And it does 90% of the work for you. And it's just saving you a lot of time. I used to hire out on Fiverr. I had a video editor that I would pay to clip stuff up. Now I don't have to do that. I was paying $1 a second, right? So people out there are like, well, how much does this stuff cost? I found somebody cheap for like $1 a second, and which seems fine. But when you do as much video as I do, like that adds up a lot. I can use Munch, spend an hour of time and come up with the same amount of content. And it's a time saver. It's a money saver. Anybody doing long form content that wants to be able to drive more traffic to that, create shorts on YouTube, this is the tool you got to use.
Yeah, I think I used Opus AI before.
Yep.
I'm gonna try Munch next.
I like it better than Opus. Opus was like the OG. It was like the original of it. I mean, it's probably too new to call the old G, but It's got a lot more options for customizing how you want your output to look. You can change your time frames a little bit more. You can change your captions to make sure you get the right fonts and colors and all that type of stuff as well.
That's cool. I love it. I love that. So that and Opus. I think there's another one out there, but oh yeah, here's
There's a
Opus.
bunch.
Yeah, here's Opus, just so you can see it as well. Push pause if you want to read this. There you go. Let's go to the next one. Yeah, so very similar. I've used this. It's good. You're right. The other's better. Look at that handlebar mustache, though. We need that back.
That's
Yeah.
perfect. I like it.
All right. So where do you want to go next?
Um, Tell you what, let me run you guys through kind of the end. I know I had to kind of rush when we were at the conference, right? So I'll touch quickly on these first two. These are probably the two most important ones, but the stuff that people can actually do on a daily basis, I want to run through and make sure people understand like the power that you have at your fingertips with ChatGPT. So first up, like custom instructions. This is like the biggest cheat code for ChatGPT is custom instructions. And go ahead and hit that next slide. This is going to show you where to access it. Yeah, advance that if you would. There we go. So on the bottom, you just click on your name, click on the three dots, and come up with custom instructions. What custom instructions are is when you tell it who you are, you're going to get better results. And one of the pain points of doing Chat GPT is as people create these new threads, you have to constantly tell it who you are, where you work, what your job is, what your goal is, what your ideal client is, what your style is, what your tone is, what your writing style is. What are you trying to accomplish? Well, if you enter that one time here, then all of the responses you get, no matter what thread you start, are already going to be tailored to your content. So it's going to save you time. And when you fill out your custom instructions, here are the 6 key areas you need to answer. So who you are. So I am Ian of Austin. I am a real estate agent in Austin, Texas. I serve Austin, Texas, and the surrounding areas, list off surrounding areas. I want to become one of the most well-known buyer and seller agents in this area. My end goal is to create a X portfolio production business. Like say what your like long-term goal is. My ideal audience is everybody should have a client avatar, right? So my client avatar that I tell it for my real estate based content is my client avatar is families that live in or want to move into Wake Forest, North Carolina, which is just outside of Raleigh. They value their kids being in great schools. They want to have outdoor recreation and they enjoy the following things. They make between X amount and X amount. The price point they're looking at is this. So when you feed that to ChatGPT, every time you ask it a question, it's going to go through that filter of that's who you are and that's your ideal client, right? Then what's your language like, right? What's your reading level like? Most marketing materials should be written for an 8th grade level. Okay. That's just an easy way for people to consume content. And you have to think about your emotional tone, right? And do you want things concise, right? Are you relatable? Are you excitable? Do you want to spark curiosity? Are you instructional and informative? Or are you more like conversational in your tone? All of those different identifiers change the type of content that you get out, right? And then any specific acronyms. If you're going to refer to MLS, or if there's an acronym for whatever your multiple listing service is in your area, or any other acronyms you would normally use, like FHA, if you're talking about loan type stuff. So if you're a mortgage broker and you talk about loan types and you use those different VA, FHA, go ahead and spell those out here so it understands what all of those are, and it's going to really dial in your content. So custom instructions, that's the best thing you can do in your Chat GPT is enter those in.
I like that. I like when you were talking about that at the event. I was like, God, why have I not done like different ones? That way, when I'm going back through, like it's already got that thread together, so it just makes it easier to kind of make it
Yeah.
sound similar.
And with those custom instructions, so every new thread, so that's kind of the next part is like every thread or every chat you have in Chat GPT, treat it like a personal assistant. Like I have a newsletter GPT. I have a Instagram GPT. I have a yeah, you can hit next on this. I have a yeah, you can go go past that.
11.
Okay. Yeah, you can stop right there. All right. So right here, every time you create a new one of those, that's a new personal assistant, right? So I have one for email marketing. I have one for Instagram. I have one for Facebook. I have one for YouTube. I have one for coaching content. I have one for general marketing and strategy and business planning. I have one to analyze Airbnb and investment properties. right? I have different threads for each one of those specialties in the business because every time you start a new thread, remember it's a language model that learns the more you talk to it. So if I ask it for an email idea and then I jump to, hey, I need 10 more YouTube video title ideas to execute on, it's all confused and it's not learning, right? So if you keep each one of these threads and chats, and you're very specific in that thread and chat and keep it to the same, you basically have a little book, like a table of contents on your left. You're like, all right, I need help with YouTube today. Boom. I'm going to go click on that thread and then I can talk to it just about YouTube. I need help with my Instagram growth strategy. Boom. Let me click on that one. Let me get some content ideas. Let me help it with scripting and caption writing and all that type stuff.
That's solid. Very, very solid. So I think we're moving along pretty quickly, but
Yeah.
because we have already or also had a Google business profile conversation and presenter, I think going into that one next would be huge because I think you even blew her mind, Tammy Price's mind, on how to automate a lot of this stuff for your Google business profile. So can you cover that for us?
Yeah. So Google Business Profile, I started using it in, I want to say 2021. And I started in September of 2021 before Chat GPT. And when I started with it, I tried to make sure I had as much photos up there as possible. All of my information was filled out. I had Q&As, and then I had an update per day. And that was me creating content from Instagram and repurposing it over to Google. And within 3 months, I started getting at least 1 to 2 deals a month for my Google Business Profile. And I was
Jeez.
like, oh my God, this is insane. And it was free. It's all free organic content because people are searching for agents. I was like, I wanted to be at the top of that map pack. And I still am to this day. But when ChatGPT came out, I was like, there's got to be an easier way to do the content updates because that's the hardest part. Most of this other stuff you can do one time, set it and forget it. But what Google Business Profiles want is to be fed information day in and day out. And updates is the easiest way to do it. The problem is, it's like, how do I come up with content ideas for updates? And I realized and noticed a pattern is that Google scans the updates in the text. So if they scan the updates in the text, why not use all the keywords and identifiers I want to rank for? I want to rank for my name. I want to rank for realtor, buy a home, sell a home, Wake Forest, North Carolina. Like I entered all of those things in there and I just said, can I build a prompt where it'll give me update information? And the answer was yes, I could. So if you go to the next thing, I tell you, this is the prompt I use to build Google Business Profile updates for my business profile. And I do 3 updates a day. I think Tammy does like 7 or 8 at this point. But what it does, you're telling it to make sure to use your name, your market area, your ideal clients, and you're giving it lots of SEO rich content. So when people are typing, looking for a real estate agent in your area, there are 3 things Google is looking for. Okay. They're looking for reviews. They're looking for location, how close are you to the query that's happening, and then frequency and relevancy of updates. So if I have more updates on my profile that have more of the keywords that people are typing in, and I use keywords everywhere to determine what those keywords are, I built this prompt around that. And I just gave it to my assistant yesterday. I went into our prompt and I said, I need 90 more updates for September 11th through October 11th. And boom, it gave me 90 updates in less than 90 seconds. I gave it to her to schedule in an application called Loomly. So everything in there, it's going to be 4 to 6 sentences long. And it's talking about buying a home, selling a home, or investing a home in my town, using my name, saying call now, clicking a call button. And I used to do all of this manually back in 2021. I would spend 4 hours a week trying to create content for my Google Business Profile. Now I do it in 90 seconds. And I tripled my content and consistency, and I only do it in 90 seconds. So it's a gigantic time saver.
So you said you could do this for keyword optimization, product development, mainly for product updates. What else? Like, so you could do automated Q and A's. Damn, there's so much you could do with this. Then I didn't even think about it because we just talked to Tammy
Everything.
about this. Yeah,
Yeah, it everything you need to fill out on there, it does. So, like for example, on the product page on our page, instead of putting like homes in our market are still selling really quick. So if I put something up for sale, it goes under contract and is no longer valid, right?
right.
So what I've done is I created cards for the major neighborhoods and markets in my area I service, right? And I had it write a product description for homes for sale in Wake Forest using all the SEO rich keywords, and then it runs back to my Chime site.
Nice.
So I can track traffic from my Google Business Profile to my Chime site from my Google Business profile, and I have it write up all of the descriptions for all the products.
Dang. So you can do one for like each area. Like, so we built one out, connected to Chime. It was $1 million+ homes, and we've gotten
Yep.
several leads through Google Business to that.
Yeah.
And they filter right into the Chime website.
Yeah. You,
So
you
get Chime.
can, any homes with pools, right? Homes between $2 and $4 million. Luxury homes with a view, homes on Lake Travis, homes on give this lake, give that lake, and all that SEO content. You tell this to write the description for that with SEO rich language. When people type in that stuff, your Google Business Profile is going to have all of those keywords. So who's going to start moving up that map pack, and you're going to be the one and only source. And when it ties back to your website, that's in game, my friend. It's in
Yeah.
game.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
Yeah, pretty cool, right?
My mind's blown. If you're in the chat, I mean, obviously this chat's going to come after. Write the word "wow" if that just blew your mind a little bit.
just wow, or have
Just
GPT
wow.
write it for you.
Yeah. So where do you want to go next? What do you think would have been the next best one for us to talk about?
Oh, let's see. Dun, dun, dun. Let me look.
You've got web.
I'll
you've
skip
got
over
social.
blogging. That's low hanging fruit. You know what? I think talking about the social media one, really, I'll touch on that really quickly, and then I would love to jump ahead. So the social media one. All right. So go ahead one slide. I was like, how can we use Chat GPT to create social media strategy? Because everybody's like, what do I post? What's my strategy? How do I come up with a content calendar? You can do the same thing for YouTube, right? But I wanted to pick social media. And I was like, all right, what prompt can I come up with? And I started this experiment back in January. And I was like, what can I do? What can I leverage on here can I have it coach me on social media? So I used a prompt very similar to this. I had used my custom instructions. I set up my own specific chat and thread, and then I had it create a social media plan for me to follow between the beginning of this year and when I met up with you guys. Okay. So it gave me some weekly themes. It gave me post ideas. This is the initial thing it gave me engagement strategies, hashtag suggestions. And then I iterated over time with this. I refined it. I let it know, hey, this idea worked. This idea bombed. This got lots of engagement. Like I gave it my analytics back. Right. And when I gave it my analytics back, I was pretty happy with the results. So click to that next slide. When I started this experiment, and I started it with just my Instagram profile, click that next slide. I started at right around 5,000 followers in January, and I followed what it told me to do. And I'm up to 38,200 at this point within about like a 6-month time frame, just following the strategy it laid out to me. It took me 2 years to get to 5,000 followers. And I've gone from 5 to 38 within about 6 months following the strategy it laid out for me. Now, part of that is piggybacking on, okay, what is hot and in the news? What are people like tentpole strategy for YouTube, right? Like, what's the hot topic? I'm like, this is a hot topic. Nobody else is talking about this topic and this topic. Okay, what's my strategy to grow this out? And I followed a lot of what it told me to do. And I think the results are pretty self evident right there.
That's incredible. I think I'm sitting right around that mark or just under that mark. And I'm looking at this like, it's such I'm not going to say easy because you're still putting in the work. And this is really important for people to realize, right? It's such a organized way to learn exactly what to do to get where you want to go.
I'll be honest, I only executed about 70%, right? Because it was a lot, right? It's a ton of freaking work. Like I don't even know how many videos I've made so far this year, and carousels and posts specific to this, and the amount of engagement I've had to do. Like it's a tremendous amount of work, but it says, hey, here's a plan. I think what most people struggle with is they don't have a plan. They're like, I don't know what to do. I let this create a plan, and then I followed it and I adapted and adjusted. Like some months I'm like, yeah, this ain't working. And I'm just like, hey, this strategy is not working. Here's what I see working. Give me a different approach. And I used it as almost like a sounding board, right? It didn't tell me exactly what to do the entire way, but it was my sounding board to give me ideas to say, okay, maybe I should try this, right? And it definitely, like, it is such a powerful tool when it comes to that.
So let me just get this straight. So what you did is you went in and asked for a social media plan for your Instagram, and you gave it some really good prompts, and that's what it put out.
Yeah.
Is that interesting? You could do that for almost any platform as well. So this was you putting out carousels, like it gave you like today's a carousel, put these photos out. It gave you make a reel about this, or is that what it did, or how did that work?
Yeah, yeah. Essentially, it was like, hey, here's some themes you should probably stick to. They're going to be popular in your industry. You should do this ratio of reels to carousels. And it gave me that plan. And then when it came time to create the content, so I create my content about a month at a time, right? So I usually sit down on a Friday, like 2 Fridays before the end of the month, and I'll go to a coffee shop and I'll start planning out my next month. I was like, all right, here's my themes, right? Here's the breakdown of how I want to do reels to carousels to static posts. Here's about how much long form content I want to do. Here's how much short form. And then I would put that as inputs. And I said, analyze this and tell me if it's going to take me closer to or further away from my goal. And it'll give me like some feedback on the strategy. It's like, okay, what if I did this instead? And then it would tell me. And I was like, okay, what if it did this instead? And
Wow.
it would tell me. I was like, and then I came up, I took it and I was like, all right, it was just like bouncing ideas. Just like if we had a mastermind together and we're bouncing these ideas off each other, it was kind of like that, right? Is bouncing those ideas. And it's known everything I've done throughout the year. And as I bounced those ideas, I'm like, all right, I'll take my plan. So I took like 70% of the plan. Then I had to go execute it. Then I was like, all right, I got to come up with the scripts for all these videos. I'm really good at coming up with hooks. Like I am great at one liners, like 1, 2 liners. And sometimes I get writer's block, right? I get 2 lines into something. I'm like, man, I don't even know what to say anymore. I'll select it and say, finish this in my style. And it'll write it out. And I'm like, okay, that's not what I want, but it gave me a jumping off point where I'm like, all right, let me fix this. And then I would fix it. And it usually took 1 to 2 iterations. And I have my full script of what I'm going to execute. I would take that, put it back in and said, hey, I took what you gave me with my strong hook acumen. And this is the final result. Reference this for all future asks for video scripts. As time went on, it got to the point where it could predict what I was going to want. And it got better and better and better and better. So an all-day session at the coffee shop has turned into a 2-hour session at the coffee shop for a month's worth of content, of planning and script writing, like actually creating the carousels with all of the value in there. It'll tell me, hey, you should have these aspects. And then I'll say, okay, what should it say? And I'll do that same iteration process. So I'm using it as like a writing assistant, right? Just like people co-write books, right? So I had all of the main ideas and I just kept reiterating with it and it just helped me build all of this out. There's no way I can do all of that on my own in the time I had allotted, right? And it's it's changed everything, right? Like it's opened up so many doors because of the time it gives me and it's opened my eyes of the possibilities that I could use that for that I haven't even tapped into yet. I've got a stack of ideas that I can execute on and I'm buying time for myself right now because I got big plans for what I've been able to do with that shit, and it's gonna be pretty cool.
Dude, I'm always amazed when I get to sit and have a conversation with you. I think this is incredible. I think it's super helpful for everybody. So thank you so much for spending the time going through this. Can we pull up his QR slide too, Jeremy?
Yeah. So one thing I want to know, we didn't talk about YouTube on here. Uh, Will and I are putting together a YouTube course called YouTube Unlocked. So if you want to know about that, or if you want his slides, I think you might want to meander over to his QR code and get on the
Yep.
mailing list.
Check out that QR code, hop on my mailing list. Like Jeremy said, we're putting together something really special that I think people are gonna like, and it's just the beginning. There's so many possibilities. I feel like there's so many agents out there that need help, right? That don't know where to get started, don't have the support systems, maybe don't have the time. And what we want to do is eliminate all the time and leverage our knowledge so you can take the fast path to success and not make all the mistakes that so many of us have made over the years. And not just with, how to set up a channel, but, how do you do shorts the right way? How do you farm with YouTube? If you're not farming with YouTube and you don't know about that, that's going to be coming down the pipeline too. How do you build your social media? How do you leverage all these AI tools and take 8 hours worth of work, make it to 2 hours worth of work? So there's so much coming down the pipeline that I'm so excited about. If you hit that QR code, sign up for my email list. I send out an email every Thursday, like clockwork, without fail. I'm giving new prompts every week, new tools that I'm running across, news in the AI space. And then I'll be announcing any type of courses and products and stuff that are going to be coming out over the next 6 to 12 months, which is going to be super exciting.
What's pretty amazing too is what did Byron Lazine at the talk say, Ian? He said something about surround yourself by around a good, what was the word he used?
Community.
It's a community was the big buzzword. Yes.
Yeah. So if you're also looking for a community to join, you want to be around agents that are doing things at a highly, highly huge level, Ian and myself would love to chat with you about Reel. Also, Will Draper, look at that. Made the Reel jump a while ago. And so it's great that this brokerage has a lot of people like yourself, like Ian, like myself, who are dedicated to helping people too. Because what you said at the end of this was all about help. So there you go. Everybody, Will Draper, thanks for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe if you have any questions.